Hey, what's up, family? This is Keith.
And this is Gwen.
And we're back with another episode of
15 Minutes with God.
Listen, I hope you've had a phenomenal week and that God has been keeping you in His ever unchanging hands. I know God has been keeping us safe and snug. But listen, we're going to jump right into it. After our last episode, when we were talking about why you should go back to church, we had a bunch of questions and comments from some of our subscribers, specifically asking, well, what's keeping people out of church?
Right.
Why aren't people going to church anyway?
Yeah.
So that's what we figured we would talk about and kind of address today.
Yeah. And this was even concerns about even pre-COVID, right?
Right.
Why people chose not to go to church. And so we were talking about, and probably one of the most important things would be finances. And so we wanted to kind of jump right into finances and maybe try and hit some other points too.
Sure. You know, I think specifically when people hear the word tithing,
right,
and offering, it can kind of get like taboo, and then people kind of get cringy and tighten up a little bit about tithing, because we have some bad examples of pastors.
We do.
That stick out. For example, you see the pastor out with a flashy car and kind of doing some other things with really what's kind of his money,
right?
If he's getting a salary, but people see that negatively, right?
Yeah.
So I think one of the reactions that most people have is, well, I'm not tithing so that man can drive a fancy car, or that he can have extra money in his pocket,
but we're not considering the other streams of income that this pastor may have, right?
A lot of pastors do get a salary from the church,
right? But
they have preaching engagements, speaking engagements, books, other things that they get their income from, that they are well within their rights to do what they want to with
exactly, like anyone else, right?
Like anyone else,
right?
But but as it pertains to church, I think that we as Christians, as people, have to kind of shift our perspective.
Right.
You understand that once that church is a business.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you run your home, you got bills at home, the church has bills.
Absolutely.
Water bill, electric bill, mortgage. Larger churches have salaries that
and
they
then
have to
stuff that comes up that they don't even know about.
Right.
Like 4 tires that you need to buy.
Exactly. Right. Look, we gotta fix the church bank.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
All of that.
All of those things. On top of which you're expecting the church to take care of the widows and orphans.
Right.
To take care of its members when they're in need. All of that costs money, right?
Funerals,
right? Weddings, things like that. So when we're talking about bringing all of your tithes and offerings to the storehouse, that's ideally what that money is for.
Yeah.
That's your offerings. All of that is for the business of running the church.
Right.
It's not. Look past the short-term things, but understand what's going on in your church. If you're at a good church home, those are what those things are being used for.
Right.
Like I said, there are some poor examples of that.
Yeah.
But we got to get past the taboo of, I don't want to be lining that man's pocket. You're not lining that man's pocket. You're helping the kingdom of God go forward.
And it is your reasonable service. It is what God requires of us. Which is not a lot for all that He has done for us. It's not a lot. And what I would say to all of that is we should just be considering what God expects of us.
Right.
Now, whatever someone else does with it, God would deal with them the way He deals with them, right? But I believe that if we do our part, and we are going to a church that is helping the community, helping widows and orphans. And you would know that because most churches that's doing that, they're advertising that. They're marketing. This is what our church is doing for our community. They have programs for kids that's getting out of school. They have programs for students that's looking for jobs. They have those different programs, and that's another service requirement that we would need in order to make sure the kingdom is growing. And I think that we get so caught up in that and stop thinking, and we say we're just not going to give anything, or we're just going to give a certain amount a week, a certain amount a month, a certain amount a year. But all that's doing is delaying what we can do in ministry. Right? And so we don't want to delay the building of the kingdom of God, and that's what we want to do. We want to build the kingdom of God as best as we can and as quick as we can, and not worry about the other things. Like I said, God would deal with whomever he needs to deal with if his funds are not being treated correctly. And the thing is that you pray over your finances. And if you're going to a church and you have that feeling, maybe it's time to look or ask God or seek God for another direction to find another home.
Sure. I mean, you should be praying about where you're going to church first anyway. Right? And if God is going to lead you somewhere, I'm sure he's not going to lead you in the wrong direction. Right. I believe that 100%. I have faith in that. And, I'm going to say this again, don't be a hypocrite. Don't be so caught up in the flashy things that you see that it deters you from getting to the kingdom of God. Right. I know that money is important, but understand it's just a tool. So the better tool you have, the better you can do your work, right? So the more we give, the more we tithe, the more of us believe in tithing, the better service we can be to the kingdom of God. Right? So don't let the I hate to say bad pastors, but that's what's going on, that are misusing the money, deter you from giving in your good church home. And keeping you from actually going to church. So invest financially and invest with your time. Because if you're investing with your time and you're investing financially, you know about the programs and you know where your money is actually going to.
Right. And I think that we kind of delay our blessings when we don't give all that we can, because the offering is the overflow of our blessing, and we want God to do all that he can with the 90% that he says that we can keep and we can use however we want to, and then we give an offering for the overflow of our blessing. And I don't want you to stop any type of blessing that God can place over your life just because you feel that the money is not being serviced correctly. As long as you are giving unto God, it is being serviced correctly, right? And so we don't want you to not go to church
based on that.
Finances, right?
And we were just talking about ministry. I know another thing that kind of turns people off or keeps people from going back and reinvesting in churches. Sometimes churches can do the most, right?
Yeah.
Like you are involved in
so many activities,
8 ministries,
right?
You got the usher board, you got deacon board, and on top of that, you got your kids involved in this.
Absolutely.
And you're going to church 6 days out of the week,
right?
And you just burnt out, right?
And COVID was a break,
right? And now you got this break, and you like,
I don't really want. I understand. I don't really want to go. But you know what? You know how many pastors that feel like I have to deal with all of this stuff. People that are on staff that having to counsel day after day after day. That says I'm at work, I'm at church all day, and then I gotta go and be in ministry mode, not dealing with all this other stuff and. They just don't feel like going to church. It's a lot of people that just don't feel like going back to church.
And then, for the lay person, you're doing all of these ministry extras.
Right.
And you still got to work during the day.
Absolutely.
You still got to be mommy and daddy. But, to that, what I would suggest, don't let that keep you from coming to church. Absolutely. Here's what I suggest. Find out what your gift is. Yes. Most churches have a spiritual gift test that you can take. If they don't, look online, find spiritual gift assessment test, and find out what you're good at, right?
Yeah.
So instead of going through or being a part of 9 ministries, be involved in 1
or 2,
or maybe 2, 1.5.
But based on your capacity,
right. Find out what your capacity is.
Exactly.
Don't get pushed so hard that you overworked and burnt out and stressed. And you're not giving your best, not only to you and your family, but to the kingdom of God. You called to minister. Yeah. You're not called to minister in every ministry.
Yeah, I think the misconception is if I'm saying no to a ministry, I'm saying no to God, and that's not it. I think you work within your spiritual gift and within your capacity.
Right.
If your capacity says that I can effectively minister in 3 different ministries, and that's one thing. If I can effectively minister in one, then do that to the best of your ability.
Right. I this is me personally. I think that I believe in one ministry. Give it your 100%. Give it your all. And, if God calls you to something else, then so be it. But I just don't believe that it's necessary to be involved in 2, 3, 4, 5 ministries to be effective in God's kingdom.
Yeah.
Now, I'll leave that up to you to decide. But don't let doing God's work keep you from going to church.
Yeah. And I would say if you're not involved in ministry, it is probably good that you get involved in ministry, because then you could see the work that's going on, right, which will give you the information on why I should give. Like just one ministry. Right. If you know how much it takes to run one ministry, your mind will change. You'll shift. Your mind will shift to, oh yeah, we need some dollars.
Yeah, because even in that ministry, I mean, on a larger scale, you got the church doing a budget, but each ministry has a budget.
Yeah.
Each ministry has X amount of dollars they got to spend. And, you've seen events and things like that. They ain't free.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, you get a level of buy-in.
Absolutely.
You get a level of, now.
This is why.
Yeah. So, yeah, get involved. Be a part of what's going on.
Right.
But don't wear yourself out.
Yeah.
Don't kill yourself.
And the other reason is we need to invest in God's kingdom. So, again, like I said before, so we can increase the kingdom of God. If we're not increasing the kingdom of God, why are we're just sitting hanging out, right?
We're just a social club.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what we're not called to be, just social butterflies.
No.
We're called to win souls.
Right. Ambassadors of Christ.
Yeah. And so it has to be a desire. We have to get that desire back.
Right.
To get back into church and get back to the business of church.
Right.
And once we get back to the business of church, then we can see our kingdom growing even more.
100%. I believe it. So we talked about finances, keep people out of church.
Yeah.
We talk about the busy work of being overly worked,
right,
keeping people out of church. So
I wish we would have had time to talk about just people not being involved and feel like it's no reason for me to go
right,
go back to church, because all I do is show up every Sunday because it's a routine. But we didn't get to that. But that's.
But I mean, real quick, I think that's a growth process.
Yeah.
I think if those are the social butterflies of church.
Yeah.
That are kind of bouncing around, going from church to church, or not couch surfing, but channel surfing every Sunday.
Yeah.
I think eventually they'll catch on somewhere. That's my prayer anyway. That you hear or see something that's going to make you join the church and be part of this kingdom of God. So, but don't be afraid to tithe. Don't be afraid to give. Don't be afraid to cut your time down to 1 or 2 ministries if you're being overworked.
Yeah.
Be a part of the church.
Yeah. There is no good reason not to be a part of church.
Of a good church.
That's right. There's no good reason. I think we all will benefit, especially if those believers and even new converts and things like that. It is so important that we connect with people, that we build relationship with people, so we can build relationship with Christ, and we can spread the love of Jesus Christ.
But we're going to have to connect with you next time.
Yep.
And build with you next time. It's been 15 minutes.
So don't forget to like this, and don't forget to share this with somebody else, And then don't forget to subscribe. And if you like it or share it with somebody else, ask them to subscribe as well. We're just trying to share the good news of Jesus Christ. That's it, just between the two of us and you two.
All right, this is Keith.
And this is Gwen.
We love you. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.